Hey, it's Bordessa here, and in this lesson I'm going to give you kind of a rundown of the basics of soloing. This is a pretty broad topic and there's lots to cover, and most guys spend their whole lives studying and improving and trying to figure out how to better their soloing. But I'm going to give you a rundown on the super basics, the really simple ideas that you can use to start soloing and creating your own little instrumental pieces. The first thing to remember when you're soloing is you want to keep in mind that a solo is basically your opportunity to express yourself. So if somebody asks you to solo in the middle of a song, what you're doing is you're just kind of hopefully creating a musical idea that is going to move people and kind of let people know how you're feeling, because music has the ability to do that. You can tell how somebody's feeling when they're playing just by kind of how their music sounds. When you get your first opportunity to solo, the big question that comes up is, oh, what notes do I use? And if you're clever, there aren't really any right notes. You could listen to some of the really amazing players and they could use all the wrong notes but still make it sound right. But for the most part, the sweet notes that a beginner are going to use are either in the major or minor scale that is relative to the key you're playing in. So if you're playing a song in the key of C, you're going to play a C major scale. If you're playing in the key of A minor, you're going to play an A minor scale. So for the most part, those are your basic safe notes, and those are a good place to start. So before you start to try and solo, it's a good idea to be comfortable with those scales and be able to play them at least in the first position, if not up as high as you can. Eventually you want to be able to play them with your eyes closed in your sleep kind of thing. You want to internalize all of those basic major and minor scales. As for ideas when you start to solo, when you're in the middle of a song, already the feel has probably kind of been developed. You can kind of tell if it's a happy or sad song already. So you basically want to play off of that as best you can. I mean, you don't want to be playing something super happy in a sad song and vice versa. But a good place to start is the melody. If your ear is relatively developed, where you can hear the notes that need to be played and then actually play them on your ukulele, then you're gonna have a pretty easy time. You just play a little bit of the melody and kind of phrase your solo ideas off of the melody. So if you were to play, say, a piece of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and you wanted to use part of that melody as your solo, you know, the melody goes, that's the melody. That's where you would start your solo. So your solo could be something like, anything like that. So the melody's kind of still there, but you're adding to it, kind of adding your own flair. So once you have your basic scale figured out, you know what the key of the song is and what scale you need to be playing, then you can go on and say, so I have all those scale notes at my disposal, but which one is going to sound best? The ones that sound best are usually the ones that are in the current chord being played. So if somebody is playing in the key of C, we're just going to use C as an example just because that's easy. If you're in the key of C and somebody's playing a C chord, then the three notes you might want to start on that would sound the best are going to be C, E, and G. So you could start it on G, and then if you are still in C when you end, or still on a C chord when you end your phrase, and the phrase is like your quick musical statement. That's like one little line. Whatever your little musical line is going to be, that's one phrase. So if you start and end your phrase on a chord note, those are going to be your basic safe notes. So if somebody changes to F, still in the key of C, but they change to playing an F chord, you might want to change your phrase starting and stopping notes to the notes of an F chord, which is F, A, and C. So instead, you'd be playing like, and then if you go back to C that you're playing over, you could go back to your C notes. C note, or two notes in the C chord. Sometimes when you're doing your little mini composing session, and also known as a solo, you might run across chords that are not necessarily in your key scale. So if you're in C and you're playing a C scale, if you run into like an F minor chord in that same song, that puts a different note in there. So you're taking the A and it's going down to an A flat. So all you're doing when you're soloing now is just taking the A, and instead of playing the A, you're playing an A flat. So as an example, instead of the normal A you'd be playing here, you're just gonna play your solo with the A flat. Or however you want to play that. Basically, when you're soloing, you're just composing on the spot, and your mind is your only limitation. So whatever you can come up with is game, whatever fits, whatever works, that's great. Use it to express yourself and enjoy the music. Until next time, aloha.